Haribol, we've got our
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation. Text 1. Sutta Vacha Vyas Kereti Vachas Tatav Nishchetmatmana Ubdhare Matim Krishne Otare Satim Vedhat.
Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna.
Text 2. आतम जाया सुता गार्पशु द्रवणि विन्न बंधुषु राजे चाविकले नित्यम विरूढ़ाणाम ममताम जहो.
Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom.
Text 3 and 4. प्रपच चेम्वार्थम यन्मा पृछत सत्मा कृष्णानुभाव श्रवणे श्रद्धानो महामना संस्थां विज्ञाय संसे करम वेत्रे विक्रम च यत् वासुदेवे भगवती आत्म भावं दृढ़ं गता.
O great sages, the great soul Maharaj Pariksit, constantly wrapped in thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me.
Text 5. Rajovacha Samichinam vacho brahman sarvagyasya tvanag tamo visharyate mahayam hare kathyata katham.
Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord.
Text 6. Bhuye eva vivitsami bhagwan atma mayaya yathedam srjate vishvam durvibhavya madhishvare.
I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods.
Text 7. Yatha gop यथा गोवती विभूता संन्यच्छते पुनः याम याम शक्तिमुपाश्रित्य पुरुषशक्ति परपुमान् आत्मानं क्रीडयन् क्रीडन् करोति विक्रोति च.
Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player.
Text 8. नूनं भगवतो ब्राह्मण हरेर अद्भुत कर्मणा दुर्विभाव्य विभाव भेमिवा भाति कवि भीश्चापि चेष्टिताम्.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them.
Text 9. यथा गुणांस्तु प्रकृतेर्युत्पत्कर्मशो वपीत्वा बिभर्ति भूरि सत्त्वविवेका कुर्वन् कर्माणि जनं भी.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, whether He alone acts with the modes of material nature or simultaneously expands in many forms or expands consecutively to direct the modes of nature.
Text 10. विचिकित्सित नमे नमने ब्रवीतु भगवान यथा शाब्दे भर्माणि निष्णाता परसमिश्च भवान खलु.
Kindly clear up all these doubtful inquiries because you are not only vastly learned in the Vedic literatures and self realized in transcendence, but are also a great devotee of the Lord and therefore as good as the personality of Godhead.
Text 11. Sutta Vacha Ityupam Mantrito Ragya Gunanukathne Hare Rishikesha Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachkrame.
Sutta Goswami said, when Sukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus.
Text 12. Shishuka Vacha Namah Parasme Purushaय Bhuvise Sadbudvadsthana Nirodha Lilya Grahit Shakti Trityay Dehina Mantar Bhavayanupalaksha Vartmane.
Sukadev Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable.
Text 13. Bhuyo namah sadjine pradesta masam bhavaya khili sattva murte punsam punha paramahanse ashrame vyavasthitanam anugdashishu.
I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations.
Text 14. Namo namaste struvashabhai sattvatam vidur kashthai muhum kuyoginam nirast samya tishe yen radsa swadhamani brahmani ransayate namah.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual world, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable.
Text 15. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yat dikshanam yat vandanam yat shravanam shriyahadranam lokasya sadhyo vidhunoti kalmasham tasme subhadra shravase namo namah.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer.
Text 16. Vichakshanaya charanopasadnat sangam vyudasya bheto natartanmana vindanti hi brahma gatim gatkalma ratsam subhadrashvase namo namah.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress towards spiritual existence.
Text 17. Tapasvino dan parayashvino manasvino mantra vidha sumangala shemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasme subhadra shvase namo namah.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers of mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord.
Text 18. Kirat hunana dhrapulinda pulksha abhir shubha yavnath sadhyai yenai cha papa yat pasha yashraya शोधयन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः।
Kirita, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha,
Hare Krishna,
Ravana,
Hare
members
Krishna,
of the
Krishna.
Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Text 19. स एषात्मतमवतां धीश्वर स्त्री में यो धर्म यस्य सत्पोमया गतव्यलिकेर्जशङ्करादिभिः वीर्ते करयोलिंग भगवान् प्रसीदताम्।
He is the supreme super soul and the supreme lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by the Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute be pleased with me.
Text 20. श्रीहापतिर्यज्ञपति प्रजापति धीर्यां प्रतिलोककप्ति धरापति पतिर्गतिश्चान्धकवृष्णव सात्वतां प्रसीदतां मे भगवान् सतां पति।
May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Rishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me.
Text 21. यदङ्घ्रे ध्यान समाधिधोत्य धियानुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्वमात्मना वदन्ति चेतत् कव्यो यथा रुचं स मे मुकुन्दो भगवान् प्रसीदिताम्।
It is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footstep of authorities. The devotee in the trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me.
Text 22. प्रोचोदिता येन पुरा सरस्वती वितान्वताजस्य सतीं स्मृतिं हरति स्वलक्ष्ण प्रादुर्भूत किला सयता समे ऋषीणां ऋषभा प्रसिद्धिताम्।
May the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me.
Text 23. भूतेर्महहृदिभ्रेभ्रेयीमा पुरोमिर्भू निर्मया शेते यद्मुषु पुरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणान् पूर्णशतमका सोलङ्क कशिष्ट भगवान् वञ्चासि मे।
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living beings to be subjected to the 16 division of material modes which are his generator, be pleased to accurate my statements.
Text 24. नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेदसे पपुर्ज्ञानमयं सौम्या यन्मुखामबुरुहासवम्।
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudev, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord.
Text 25. एतदेव तम्बुराजन् नारदाय विपृच्छते वेदगर्भोद्भेदयात् साक्षात् यथा हरिरात्मनः।
My dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narad, exactly apprised him on this subject as it has been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Sorry for any mistake.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Girish Prabhu and Shabani Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
We need to mute somebody. Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, I muted all. Please unmute yourself. And I am making you host as well.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's chat session. We continue today our reading of the fourth chapter, the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter entitled The Process of Creation. Today we will be discussing texts number 12 and 13 in more detail. Before we do so, let's recite the Mangala Charanam prayers. You can join in via unmuted mics also. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhi Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachati Shatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we are reading that Parikshit Maharaj, he had heard from Shukdev Goswami the great importance of hearing. How hearing about the pastimes of the Lord is the primary activity for one who is about to leave their body. So Parikshit Maharaj was ready to listen to the Leela of the Lord. But what Leela should he listen to first? That is the question. The Lord has unlimited Leela, but they can be broken down into two primary categories. That Leela, which he performs in the spiritual world, and that Leela, which he performs in the material world. So Parikshit Maharaj, and we can take great instruction from this, he elected first to hear about the Leela the Lord performs in relation to the material world. And that Leela is performed by the Lord's avatars in the material world. And the avatars are broken down into two primary categories, which we shall be discussing in these verses 12 and 13 today. Now, this chapter is entitled The Process of Creation. But if we study it, we'll see that the actual process of creation is being discussed in chapter number 5. The primary part of chapter 4 is Shukdev Goswami's prayers. And those are covered from verses 11 all the way to 25. So yesterday we would have probably covered the first prayer of Shukdev Goswami. Now, prayers, the Sanskrit word for prayers is Vandanam. And Vandanam is one of the 9 processes of bhakti. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is nothing but bhakti, we'll find a lot of prayers. A lot of prayers by so many great personalities. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of prayers. We've been studying the first canto. There's the prayers of Kunti Devi, the prayers of the residents of Dwaraka, the prayers of so many personalities. Sometimes when we study Bhagavatam, we feel that we have become a little tired of prayers. Because it seems to us that the prayers are mostly the same. You are above the gunas. You are the source of everything. You are the creator. So many things. Sometimes we have the tendency to say, oh no, nothing, more prayers. And we want to race through the prayers. But that's not good. That's not good. Actually, studying of the prayers of the different personalities is a very important aspect of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Because, why? Because the various devotees, they reveal different bhavas. They reveal different rasas in their prayers. And we should try to study those prayers in that mood. What bhav, what rasa is being revealed? Krishna is known as Uttama Shloka, meaning one who is praised and glorified by choice verses, the choicest verses, choicest words, best words are chosen to describe and glorify Krishna. So we have the opportunity to connect with these choice words. Some of these words, if you studied, they are only mentioned once in the Bhagavatam. In 18,000 verses, some of these words appear only once. And sometimes you'll see the words are repeated, like in Shukdev Goswami's prayers. You will see in these verses that the last line is the same in many of these verses, the prayer verses. You'll notice that in these verses 11 to 25, a lot of the verses, the last line is the same. And Shukdev Goswami is repeating. So we should pick up. What is this last line? What is the mood being conveyed? So let us discuss verse number 12 and 13. And one important thing is Maharaj Parikshit had asked Shukdev Goswami to describe creation, Sarga and Visarga, primary creation and secondary creation. And Shukdev Goswami felt it important that he first glorify Krishna. And through Krishna's grace, through Krishna's mercy, then he would obtain the ability to speak and answer Parikshit Maharaj's question. And that is the process, the bhakti process. Whenever we are asked to speak on any subject matter, we feel completely lost. What have I got to say? What knowledge do I have? But if Krishna wants, he can reveal. He can put into my intelligence, he can put through my mouth some words that will appropriately glorify him and his devotees. And we see this mood in the greatest of all the speakers, Sri Shukdev Goswami. He just doesn't jump and start speaking. He offers so many beautiful prayers to Krishna with the intention that Krishna will empower him. Krishna will give him the adhikar to speak that which is just right. So text number 12. Shri Shuka Uvacha Nama Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase Sadhud Bhavastana Ridho Leelaya Rita Shakti Tritayaya Dehinam Antar Bhavayuna Valakshavartmane. Word for word synonyms. Sri Shuka Uvacha, Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Namaha, offering obeisances, Parasmai, the Supreme, Purusaya, the personality of Godhead, Bhuyase, onto the complete whole, Sad Udbhava, the creation of the material world, Sthana, its maintenance, Nirodha, and its winding up, Lilaya, of the pastime of Grita, having accepted, Shakti, power, Tritayaya, three modes, Dehinam, of all who possesses material bodies, Anta Bhavaya, unto he who resides within, Anupalakshya, inconceivable, Varmane, one who has such ways. Shukadev Goswami, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shukadev Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole, residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable. This material world is a manifestation of the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the Lord, for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, accepts three predominating forms as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankara, Shiva. As Vishnu, he enters into every body materially created. As Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he enters into every universe. And as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, he enters the body of every living being. Lord Sri Krishna, being the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, is addressed here as Parapumam, or Purushottam, as described in the Bhagavad Gita 15:18. Let's read 15:18. Yasmat sharam atitoham akshirada pichotamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratitaha purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental, beyond the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. He is the complete whole. The Purusha avatars are therefore his plenary expansions. Bhakti Yoga is the only process by which one can become competent to know him. Because the empiric philosophers and mystic yogis cannot conceive of the personality of Godhead, he is called Anupalakshya Varshmane, the Lord of the inconceivable way, or Bhakti Yoga. So here Shukdev Goswami is offering his obeisances to the Lord, who accepts the three modes of nature. And just reading that statement by itself can be somewhat confusing. We know that the Lord is always above the modes of material nature. He is never touched by the modes of material nature. He is never influenced by the modes of material nature. So what does it mean that he accepts the three modes of material nature? This, as Srila Prabhupada teaches us in the purport, refers to the guna avatars. And this is the avatars as Brahma, Vishnu, and as Prabhupada says, Shankara or Shiva. For the purpose of interacting with the mode of passion, he comes as Lord Brahma. For interacting with the mode of ignorance, he comes as Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma explains in the Brahma Samhita, just like milk touched by lemon juice or curdling agent becomes yogurt. The same way, the Supreme Lord, when he decides to contact the material mode of ignorance, he takes the form of Lord Shiva. And to interact with the mode of goodness, he comes as Lord Vishnu. Now, someone may ask the question, we know Lord Brahma to be Jiva Tattva. How can we say Lord has come as Lord Brahma? The point being, or we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, that many times the Lord himself takes the form of Lord Brahma. Brahma is a position, and the Lord accepts that form. Or sometimes he may empower or give that post, that position to the most qualified living entity within the material world. But the point being, it is all the Lord's Shakti for the three modes of material nature. And then it is mentioned here, he's the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable. Meaning, how can, there are innumerable living entities in this material world. It is said there are more living entities than there are grains of sand on the shore of the ocean. It's inconceivable how many living entities. But the Lord is residing within the body of every living entity in his form as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. No, sorry, Karanadakshaya Vishnu. No, that is getting a little confused now. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, isn't it? There is first Mahavishnu, then there's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then there is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. From the pores of the body of Mahavishnu comes many universes. And each universe appears Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And within the heart of every living entity, we have Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So the Lord is inconceivable. He accompanies the living entities everywhere. And these three avatars are called the Purusha avatars. And that's what will be the primary subject matter of discussion in the description of the process of creation. So this is inconceivable. And Prabhupada says that no person can understand these activities of the Lord in his Purusha avatar or Guna avatars. And we can see, people, they are completely confused. Who is Lord Brahma? Who is Lord Shiva? Who is Lord Vishnu? How do they relate to each other? Are they all the same? People are confused. It's inconceivable. They cannot understand. But one who is a devotee, that understanding is revealed. Tesham satlatam yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. Krishna says, to those who worship me with love, pritipurvakam, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So it is only the devotees, not the empiric philosophers, not the mystic yogis, not the jnanis, no one. And Prabhupada points to this word that Srila Shukadev Goswami used, Anupalaksha Varmane. Let me see if this word is used anywhere else in the Bhagavatam. It's used twice. It's used in the 7th chapter, 26th verse, and it is used in this chapter. Oops. And Vartmane, you can see this is the beauty of the Veda base. You can see it's used 3 other times, so not very often. Anu Palaksha Vartmane. Inconceivable. One cannot know such ways. So we have to cover the next verse too. So let's move on to text number 13. Anyone has any particular comments or questions about text?
Can I ask a question, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Puja Mataji.
Yes, as you say, people get confused. Now I'm confused now. The demigod Shiva is considered as a demigod, and yet here he says that Vishnu takes the supreme personality of the Godhead, takes the form of Shiva. And yet we consider Shiva as a demigod.
Well, the Vaishnavas, with the proper understanding, they know the Lord Shiva is in a very special category. Normally, demigods, they are Jiva Tattva, who have been given this position of demigod, like in charge of heavenly planets, or in charge of the ocean, or in charge of wealth, and so on. Those are not ordinary living entities. But we know from proper understanding that Lord Shiva is not, he is not in that category, Jiva Tattva. He is the Lord, just like as Lord Brahma says, if you add a curdling agent to milk, it becomes yogurt. Yogurt can't become milk again. Once it becomes yogurt, once it's curdled, it cannot become milk again. So the Lord, wanting to contact the material mode of ignorance, when touch, that guna, tamagun, he transforms to Lord Shiva. But our understanding is Lord Shiva is not like ordinary demigod.
Okay.
And I don't think in Prabhupada's writings, he necessarily, sometimes just to make the point that Lord Shiva is not on the same category as Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, you may use some terminology to that effect. But the proper understanding is he's not ordinary Jiva Tattva demigod. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, absolutely, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So text number 13. Puyo namasad prijina chide satam asambhavaya kila sattvamurtaye pumsha puna paramahamsya ashrame vyavastitanam anugrimya dashuse. Synonyms: Bhuyaha, again, Namaha, my obeisances, Sat, of the devotees or the pious, Regina, distresses, Chidhe, the liberator, Asatam, of the atheists, the non-devotee demons, Asambhavaya, cessation of further unhappiness, Akhila, complete, Sattva, goodness, Murtaye, onto the personality of Godhead, Pumsha, of the transcendentalists, Puna, again, Paramahamsya, the highest stage of spiritual perfection, Ashrame, in the status, Vyavyas Titanam, particularly situated, Anumgriya, this destination, thus you say, one who delivers. Translation: I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses, and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is the complete form of all existence, both material and spiritual. Akhila means complete, or that which is not kila, inferior. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two kinds of nature, prakriti, namely the material nature and the spiritual nature, or the external and internal potencies of the Lord. The material nature is called apara, or inferior, and the spiritual nature is called superior or transcendental. Therefore, the form of the Lord is not of the inferior material nature. He is complete transcendence, and he is Murti, or having transcendental form. The less intelligent man, or unaware of his transcendental form, describe him as impersonal Brahman. But Brahman is simply the rays of his transcendental body, Yasya Prabha. The devotees who are aware of his transcendental form render him service. Therefore, the Lord also reciprocates by his causeless mercy and thus delivers his devotees from all distresses. The pious men who follow the rulings of the Vedas are also dear to him. And therefore, the pious men of this world are also protected by him. The impious and the non-devotees are against the principles of the Vedas. And so such persons are always hampered from making advances in their nefarious activities. Some of them, who are especially favored by the Lord, are killed by him personally, as in the cases of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and Kamsa. And thus, such demons get salvation are thereby checked from further progress in their demonic activities. Just like a kind father, either in his favor upon the devotees or his punishment of the demons, is ever kind to everyone because he is the complete existence for all individual existence. The Paramahamsa stage of existence is the highest perfectional stage of spiritual values. According to Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord is factually understood by the Paramahamsas only. As there is gradual realization of the transcendence from impersonal Brahman to localized Paramatma to the personality of Godhead Purushottam, Lord Krishna, similarly, there is gradual promotion of one's situation in the spiritual life of sannyas. Kuticha, Bhaudak, Parivrajikacharya, and Paramahamsa are gradual progressive stage in the renounced order of life, sannyas. And Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, has spoken about them in her prayers for Lord Krishna, Canto 1, Chapter 8. The Paramahamsas are generally found among both the impersonalists and the devotees. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, as clearly stated by Kunti Devi, pure bhakti yoga is understood by the Paramahamsas, and Kunti Devi is especially mentioned that the Lord descends paritranaya sadhunam, especially to award bhakti yoga to the Paramahamsas. So ultimately, the Paramahamsas, in the true sense of the term, are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has directly accepted that the highest destination is Bhakti Yoga, by which one accepts the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Those who accept the path of Bhakti Yoga are the factual Paramahamsas. Since the Lord is very kind to everyone, the impersonalists who accept Bhakti as the means of merging in the existence of the Lord in his impersonal Brahmajyoti are also awarded their desired destination. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:11, he has assured everyone, Ye yatamam prapajante. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, there are two classes of Paramahamsas, namely the Brahmanandis, the impersonalists, and the Premanandis, the devotees. And both are awarded their desired destinations. Although the Premanandis are more fortunate than the Brahmanandis. But both the Brahmanandis and the Premanandis are transcendentalists, and they have nothing to do with the inferior material nature, full of the existential miseries of life. So Shukdev Goswami in this prayer, he is using the word Akila, complete. Srila Rupa Goswami starts his brilliant book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, by calling Krishna or referring to Krishna as Akila Rasamrita Sindhu. He's saying that this book is about Akila Rasamrita, That's Krishna. Krishna is completely made up of rasa. Complete. This is Akila. Akila Rasamrita Murtaya. He says Akila Rasamrita Murti. So Krishna is complete in every way. He is the complete form of existence and transcendence. There's no one as complete as Krishna. Krishna is complete in every way, and especially complete in rasa. And then he says, Krishna is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses. Now, this is an interesting statement because we know that devotees also experience many distresses. So how we understand that Krishna is the liberator of the devotees from distresses? We understand that Krishna makes the devotees rise above all distresses in their consciousness. The devotees become so fixed up in their devotion to Lord Krishna. They become so fixed up in their reciprocation with Lord Krishna that they don't feel anything as distress. So-called distress for a devotee, they see it as the mercy of Krishna. They never see, oh, here comes distress. No, they say, here comes the mercy of Krishna in a different form. Therefore, Krishna liberates the devotees from all distresses because they never feel it, because of the reciprocation of Lord Krishna. He liberates all devotees. So if we are feeling distressed in life, it means only one thing. We're not sufficiently connected with Krishna. Because if we are sufficiently connected with Krishna, there's no such thing as distress. Krishna always has the back of his devotees. Krishna is always doing good for the devotees. So how can there be any distress? How can there be anything auspicious, inauspicious? Everything is auspicious. So that's a beautiful statement by Srila Shukdev Goswami. Chida asatam asambhava yaya. And it is interesting, this word asambhavaya. Bhavaya. Bhava means ecstasy. Or bhava can also mean distress. And then he says he destroys the further advances in the atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. And Prabhupada has nicely explained that. How does Krishna do that? He kills them. And when he kills them, he kills at the same time, he kills their demonic mentality. And finally, for the transcendentals are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, described herein as the Paramahamsas, he grants their specific destinations. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that there are two Paramahamsas. Many people get taken by surprise. Prabhupada says impersonalists are Paramahamsas and the devotees are Paramahamsas. One may say Prabhupada is always criticizing and smashing the impersonalists. And here he categorizes them as Paramahamsas. How to understand this? The simple reason is that they are Mayavadis, who are impersonalists, and then there are the Brahma Nandis. And Prabhupada explains here. The Brahmanandis, they are different from the Mayavadis. The Mayavadis, they say that Krishna's form is material. They downgrade Krishna's transcendental spiritual form to it being material. Therefore, they are called Mayavadi, Aparadi. They are not spoken about as Paramahamsas here. It's the Brahmanandis who have not got sufficient knowledge about Krishna's form and who want to merge into the impersonal Brahman. They are called Brahmanandis, impersonalists. These are the Paramahamsas, impersonalist Paramahamsas that is being referred to by Srila Prabhupada here. And we know from Bhagavatam, it is said at one stage, Shukadeva Goswami was a Brahmanandi, not a Mayavadi. One stage, the four Kumaras, they were Brahmanandis. But the Kumaras, by smelling the Tulsi leaf, they became Premanandis, devotees. So the Paramahamsas can be of two classes. The Brahmanandis are accepted as transcendentalists. And Shukadeva Goswami is saying Krishna grants them. The Brahmanandis, they want to merge to the impersonal Brahman, fine. But the devotees, they're only interested in service, the Premanandis. And Krishna knows that. He gives them the opportunity to worship his personal form through devotional, loving devotional service. Okay, I've gone on a bit today, close to 8:42. I think I should stop now. Take any questions or comments, realizations, reflections that anyone has. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So with regards to Paramanandi and Brahmanandi, so Rupa Goswami, he mentions what are the pleasure they experience in front of the devotees. It is just like a tiny particle.
Yes.
Brahmanando bhavedyesha chet parardha gunikritah naiti sukambhodehe paramanu tulamapi. So this is a very beautiful verse. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quoted from Rupa Goswami's writings.
True.
When we multiply so many times, Brahmanando bhaved yesha chet parardha gunikritah, multiple times, millions of times multiplying Brahmanando. So this is Naiti Bhakti Sukha Ambhodehe, Bhakti Sukha Ambhuti. Chet, that is Paramanutulamapi. So likewise, in front of Bhakti Sukha Ambhuti, that Brahmananda, it is very Paramanu. It's just to bring that point, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very nice point. It is said that the experience, the so-called experience that the person gets from sense gratification, compared with the bliss one feels through merging into the impersonal Brahman, it is completely insignificant. You take the highest pleasure in the material world through sense gratification. When you compare it to the bliss one gets from merging to impersonal Brahman, it's insignificant. And then if you compare the bliss from merging into impersonal Brahman with the bliss you get from devotional service, from bhakti, that again is it's off the radar. It can't even feature, it can't even compare. It's just insignificant, completely insignificant. Thank you for pointing that out, Amoga. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Prabhu, you want to add to that?
So one more point, Puja Mataji was asking about Lord Shankara. So when the Lord, further Sukadeva Goswami says, when the Lord appears, Srujami Tanniyuktoham Haro Harati Tadvasham. So that is when he appears, Srujami Tanniyogam Haro Harati Tadvashaha. And he appears keeping Lord Shankara and Brahma in his control all the time when he appears. So that is mentioned later on in the second canto itself. So just to bring that point. And also Sruta Goswami in the beginning of Bhagavatam, he mentions Sattum Raistamiri Prakrute Gunaihi Tai Yuktaha Purusha Eka Satya Sityadaye Harivirinchi Hareti Sanyaha Shreyomshi Tatrakalu Satpatanondrunam Syuho. Out of when the Lord appears as a Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, one has to take only shelter of Vishnu for all auspiciousness. So that Sruta Goswami summarizes in the beginning, first canto, second chapter, somewhere around 22 or something like that.
Which chapter, Prabhu?
First canto, chapter 2, verse number, I think 22, something like that, Prabhuji. I don't
Let me have a look. Okay. Yes, 23 to 25. Amongst the guna of avatars, Vishnu is to be worshipped. Yes, thank you, Prabhu, for pointing that out. Very nice. The law directly associating with the three modes accepts three qualitative forms as Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Of these, the humans can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of pure goodness. Passion is better than ignorance, but goodness is the best because it helps one to realize the absolute truth. Therefore, all the ancient sages worship the transcendental Supreme Lord to derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows him becomes eligible for liberation. And then after that, he rejects demigod worship. Thank you, Amoga Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. All glories to your service. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya
Patitanam
Amen.
Vaishnavibhyo Namo
Anantapati Vaishnava
Ki Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada Ki
Thank
Jai.
you, so Prabhuji, for nice class.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.